P used to try to like, maybe because I was light skinned with good hair, he used to try to like target me. And it broke my heart because I had to call my homeboys one time like, man, you'll never guess who's up here hooping. And I'm talking about Kobe was up there, Paul Pierce was up there, Shaq was up there. It's like, motherfucking Master P is up here hooping right now, but I might have to fight him. God told me to answer this call, and it was cold. And he calls me and tells me it's him. I'm like, quit bullshit. Who is this? Although I'm half Italian, that was the first time I really was ever around white kids. So it was a real culture shock. And, you know, as we talked about before we got going, my parents were in the drug game, but I called them kind of functioning drug addicts because we never went without. We were always fed, we were always clothed, bathed, you know, ready for school. But they always wanted to put me in the white schools. So that was my first real taste of racism, was when I got to Sacramento in like 88, 89, second, third grade. It was a shock because I didn't understand like why these kids don't fuck with me. Why won't they let me play basketball or kickball or football or nothing? And, you know, as a child, that it's kind of hard to digest. But, you know, my dad's take was, you know, if they call you nigger, fight them. See, my parents and friends, their friends do it right in front of us. You know what I mean? I remember that we used to live maybe 3 doors down from a little friend of mine, and both our parents were into it. And him and his sister literally pulled a big old plate of cocaine off the dresser drawer or dresser top, knocked it on the carpet, and started eating it.
Oh shit!
And we're maybe 5 at this time.
Wow.
Maybe 6.
Wow.
And both of them kind of just fall down and start foaming out the mouth. So I run from their place to my parents' house and tell them like, hey, like, I don't know what's going on, but they did something. And luckily, you know, they were rushed to the hospital and okay. But like, it was really, you know, my parents didn't hide it. At 14 was the first time I smoked weed, and I stole it from my dad and got a fucked up headache, but I wasn't no quitter.
Was it that Reggie, that backyard
It was probably some bullshit. Yeah, it was probably some bullshit.
The seeds popping and shit.
So you know, I wasn't a quitter. After that, I ended up with some good tree and really been, you know, a cannabis smoker since 94.
Did you ever feel this pressure, you know, being that you're not enough of this, not enough of that, and you're in the middle? Like, what was that fight?
Biracial is a cold game that no one really talks about because, I mean, it's really common now. I mean, we're a melting pot now, but in the 80s, first of all, my dad told me he was always fighting because the white men didn't like him with my mom. So my dad was scrapping every time he went out from that kind of standpoint. But like you said, I think you said it perfect. When you're biracial, you're not white enough and you're not black enough. So I was literally fighting my AAU teammates, which was black, because they would call me white boy. And then the white people would call me nigger. So it was just a constant fight to acceptance. And I was always still am very proud of being biracial. And during my suspension, the KKK comes up to my high school and vandalizes my high school from head to toe, burned down a bathroom, hung a mannequin from a noose in the oak tree in front with my football jersey on it, with die nigger, swastikas everywhere. From there, they put a green light on me.
Yeah.
So, you know, we had to move to another city and had 24-hour security for about 2 or 3 weeks, and
that's
everything
deep.
Everything kind of died down after that. But that's when I realized, like, damn, they don't look at me as biracial. They don't look at me like, they look at me as a black man. You know, it was crazy. So, funny story. So when I got to UCLA, I didn't know P was a hooper.
Yeah.
And P used to try to like, maybe because I was light skinned with good hair, he used to try to like target me. And it broke my heart because I had to call my homeboys one time like, man, you'll never guess who's up here hooping. And I'm talking about Kobe was up there, Paul Pierce was up there, Shaq was up there. Yeah. It's like, motherfucking Master P is up here hooping right now, but I might have to fight him. Because he kept trying to punk me.
Your walk was not easy.
Nah, it wasn't that. It wasn't easy. I got
you
cut.
Went to the D-League, all of that shit.
D-League, and then I played in the ABA or ABL, where I played with Dennis Rodman for like 2 weeks. And then I got called up to the Clippers. And then from there, it was, you know, I had a nice run. But even my first 4 years, I really didn't get a chance to play. And I was debating, contemplating on, you know, my agent at the time had lined up private workouts with an NFL team. So I was thinking about like, shit, I gave myself this one last year in the summer of 06 that if I don't make a team this year, I'm going to try to play football. And, you know, luckily I made that Golden State Warriors team in 06, 07, and we made NBA history. And after that, I was kind of a fixture in the league, but it was a tough start, you know, for me to get going.
How do you feel about you being compared to him, the comparisons in terms of how y'all attack the game?
I mean, that's an honor. I mean, he's a legend. He's a Hall of Famer, you know what I mean? And he carved out a niche for himself, but also carved out a niche for guys after him. That, you know, I was someone who could score the ball, you know, and do a lot of different things. But once I got to the NBA, it's just like, you know, hey, that's not what was needed from me. So, you know, I just had to kind of find my role and understand what my role was. And once I found my role, whatever team I was on, I was either starting or the first guy coming off the bench, you know what I mean? So I just think it was important for me to kind of understand that. And obviously Dennis Rodman kind of paved the way, because everyone thinks, you know, to get, hey, I got to score 30 to get to the league or this and that. And there's, you know, there's a handful of guys in the league. Now it's more, but you know, there's a handful of guys that can score like that.
Right.
But there's also a handful of roles that need to be filled where you could be a star in that role.
So do you think that the bad boy tag and image that you have gotten, do you think that's earned?
I think it's misunderstood because I came into the league when, you know, social media wasn't, when I first came in the league, there was no social media. And then maybe towards halfway through my career, social media started becoming something. And then by the time the end of my career, it was full-fledged. So I just, you know, people see you for 2 hours on TV, and if I happen to, you know, dust it up or cuss a ref out or swing on somebody, that's the image they have of me. You know, this guy's a thug, he's got tattoos, he's this, and that. So it's just the image. So I mean, I always say, you know, reputation is earned, whether good or bad. So I, you know, I did what I had to do to make it in the league, but basketball was my job. It wasn't who I was. It didn't define me. I think too often people let what they do define them.
Now, that's interesting that you say that, because I tell people that all the time. Because I worked in entertainment for so long, people assume like we just did the No Limit reunion tour. And I've always been in music or some form of entertainment. People think that, you know, like my life is an orgy or some big ass, you know, rap video. And I used to say the same thing.
It did that. I mean, it was for time. We got, I mean, we had that.
Well, mine never been.
No,
you know,
but it's just like they stick that label on you. God told me to answer this call, and it was Kobe. And he calls me and tells me it's him. I'm like, quit bullshitting. Who is this? He's like, nah, it's me. So we kind of start going back and forth, and he asked me what I'm doing. I'm told, you know, I'm talking to Miami. And, you know, just like, you know, anyone crazy enough to fuck with me is crazy enough to play with me. Do you want to be a Laker? And I'm like, hell yeah. Because, I mean, I grew up in the 80s with Showtime. Magic was my favorite player.
Mine
so it was always a dream to be a Laker. Kobe, if he saw a pussy, he wasn't having it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
and
if he saw a dog, he wouldn't. Me and Kobe never had no issues, to be honest with you. Like, I think that one time where people only see the ball fake, but if you go back and watch that game, that motherfucker was grabbing me, holding me, elbowing me, and I was about to fight him. Like I said, fuck basketball. Like, we about to scrap. So
he was playing the psychological game with you.
And then he was a monster with that. And you know, once he kind of knew that I was about that shit, he and I that's what made us become so close on Tyler's team. Like I said, we always had a mutual respect, and I wouldn't even call us friends before then, because it was just, you know, if I was seeing we play, and there'd be respect. But you know, once he got me to the Lakers and kind of brought me in, we went from teammates to brothers to like family. Steven Jackson tells a story one time where, you know, I had a routine, like whatever city I landed, I'd go to my room, smoke, and then find out what's popping in that city. So Cole would hit me up, MB, what you doing? I was like, I'm about to go borrow one. He's like, what's up? So you trying to get out tonight? I'm like, Cole, we in Milwaukee. He's like, so I don't give a fuck. I was like, all right, well, let me hit. And Stack Jack was on that in the Milwaukee team. So I hit Jack, and I brought Cole, and I told Jack, I was like, I think Cole comes. He's like, yeah, right. So sure enough, me and Cole walked up in that bitch, and we actually had a good time in Milwaukee. But we just bonded from there, because like I said, it was he was one of those superstars that he didn't have to say much because he led by example.
When you did that ball fake, and that nigga ain't flinch.
At all.
He didn't wince. He didn't do anything. You had to know. Psychologically, what did that do to you in that
didn't
moment?
do nothing at the time, because I didn't really realize how close it was. I still wanted to fight. I didn't give a fuck if he didn't flinch or not. Like, I didn't care about that. You know, I'm not trying to be defined by my last 20 years. I'm like, nigga, you're Kobe. What are you talking about?
Right.
He's like, nah, like this next 20 years, like watch. Like, he was still that competitive that he wanted to show people like, yeah, I was dope at this, but my mind is even better in business, and I'm gonna kill business. And he was like really adamant about that. And I just thought that was so dope. So
is that what inspired you to?
I mean, I was already on the track, but anytime you see greatness like that, obviously it's gonna motivate you. And then, you know, I've known his sister Shea since UCLA. And Joe and Pam is his parents, and then, you know, getting to know Vanessa over the years, and the rest of the family. It was just such a hard thing to witness. But then obviously knowing the family, I couldn't imagine. Like I said, it hurt, and it hurt the world, but it hurt me because I was close. But I couldn't imagine how much it hurt the actual family, and how strong everyone's had to be. And for Vanessa to not only lose her husband, but to lose her daughter, and then to Pam and Joe to lose their son and granddaughter, and Shea to lose her brother and niece. It's just like, shit is tough. I got my first, $4 million deal after that season, and all I wanted to do was, okay, shit, I'm buy my mom out. You want to buy your mom a house. That's what everyone wants to do. And she ends up dying the very beginning of the next season. She was diagnosed with cancer November 1st of the 2007 season, and dies November 27th. So within 26 days, she's gone. And it was just like, fuck. Like it happened that fast, and you got to get your checkups. You got to. I'm not looking forward to my colonoscopy or whatever the fuck that shit is called.
Have you had a prostate exam yet?
I need to.
I did that.
Did you?
I did. Yeah, it was fucked up.
One day, actually it was a couple times, and then finally one time it's just like, come on, man, it's gonna be this and gonna be that, and it's good from us. Get him out of our hair. Give him something to do. Stop fucking with us. So I was like, all right. So we do the next season as Basketball Wise Miami, and I'm in Orlando. And the first season of that shit is when Tiger Woods got popped doing all the shit he was doing. But Tiger was courtside at all our games.
Wow.
So I'm saying, and I'm a golf. I'm starting to take golf right there. So I'm a huge being able to say what's up to Tiger, and then kind of slowly hearing that Tiger got some nigga, and I'm like, Tiger's doing what? Who? Like just hearing all this shit about Tiger, I would have never expected it because he was just so straight laced, cut, stiff.
Yeah.
Never expected it, but we had the first dinner we had at like the first time we filmed together. Like these ladies came from Miami to our home in Orlando and had a dinner, and these girls are at the dinner table on camera talking about, we know Tiger, but like, what do you guys do on the road, and what do you and your teammates do? And I'm like, what the fuck?
Tiger
is
to make
this?
a spot
right?
out.
Like, what the fuck is this? So I'm just immediately. So that was my first, and then I wouldn't say my last. I think I made 2 more appearances on the show after that, but I just knew.
Yeah.
This ain't it for me. You know what I mean?
How difficult is that, bro, to deal with very personal issues in the public? You know what I mean? Because you got to be a strong motherfucker.
Well, yeah, so I mean, I'm accustomed to it now, and I gave that privacy right away when I allowed them to come into my home. Because at first I'd be like, man, how are they saying this about us? But then I'm thinking like, nah, nigga, you allowed them to do it. You open up your doors. So now, like, it's, when anything out in the public, it's, especially now, everyone's got a fucking opinion. So, you allow these people to come into your home and critique your every single move. So it's been tough, because obviously, all my shit has been well documented. You know what I mean? So it's just like, there is no privacy, even up to this day. There's no privacy. When I was single, when I was going through my divorce, when, I got into it with my teammate.
Right.
Like, none of that shit is private. I've been in LA since 98 and got a chance to know the streets, both sides. And it's just not a game.
Yeah.
And I think gangbanging kind of came commercialized in like the mid 2000s where people were claiming red and blue and didn't really know the origin or the real meaning behind it.
Right.
And I was never, and I had teammates that were on that and throwing up this and throwing up that. And I'm just like, that's cool. I'm gonna fuck with you, but that's not who I am.
Yeah.
Because I know people are really dying off this shit.
You made a lot of money in the NBA. And being able to, a lot of athletes and people with money, period, they fall off. What advice would you give to any young athlete, young entertainer to be able to sustain life after their perspective?
Well, I think financial literacy wasn't, when I first came in the league, there was no conversation on financial literacy. Right. And by the time I left, the locker room talk was, what are you investing in? Did you see this opportunity? I got a meeting with so-and-so. Like, the shit had completely flipped upside down. So I don't think you'll see this generation with as many people who've kind of fall off financially as we saw and during my time. And really, even in my first 5 or 6 years, I was red light at the end every summer. You know what I mean? Because I didn't come from any kind of foundation where I knew how to save, invest, any of that kind of shit. So I had to learn through trial and error. And I think the thing that saved me was having kids, realizing it's just not about me no more. you know, hopefully my kids get scholarships, but if not, we got to be good regardless. So kids, I think, are what kind of saved me and were my North Star. But, you know, for young athletes now, it's cool to talk about financial literacy, which I think is dope, and investment opportunities are there left and right. So I think the fact that that conversation is cool is going to help a lot of these young athletes move forward. Because again, you know, we were talking about women, cars, jewelries, and houses when we were really in getting our money. But now that's not the conversation, which is a blessing. So you know, just be smart, you know, invest. You know, there's a lot of opportunities to invest. Make sure you trust the people that, you know, are investing your money and learn it. I was someone that never, let me just throw money over here. Like, I want to learn it. You know, if I'm gonna put my name on it, I got to learn it. It's got to really represent me. And I'm to the position now where, you know, I can turn down deals because although they may be great for someone, they're not great for me. They don't represent the brand or what I'm about. So I've come a long way in that space. But just for younger people, just understand, man, that you know, there's more money out there now, but just be smart with it and invest and play the long game. You know, obviously you want to be able to enjoy what you've worked for, but don't blow it.
I'm holding court, standing trial. Why ain't I see you round back when I was down? Karma's on the way. What goes around comes around. Karma's on the way. There's nothing you could do now. You gotta pay. I'm organized.